Hello, my advanced learners of English. I'm Lisa. I have another video for you which will help you expand your English vocabulary and the usage of common English expressions so that you can go from advanced to truly fluent. We will analyze another conversation that I had with a native speaker in Los Angeles, a professional who used a lot of wonderful vocabulary and expressions that I want to make sure you can use as well. Have you ever used the word catchphrase? Or when you were talking to someone, have you ever said along the same lines? The person in this video used both of those expressions. For example, instead of saying, "That's a popular thing that everyone says all the time," you can say, "That's a catchphrase." And instead of saying, "I'm glad we're all thinking in a similar way," you can say, "I'm glad we're all thinking along the same lines." You will listen to my conversation with the psychotherapist, Joanne Weidman. She's a licensed marriage and family therapist. She used a lot of wonderful expressions that I want to make sure you can use as well. And remember, when I teach you the new word or the new expression, I would like you to pause the video and make your own sentence with that word or that expression. That's so important. As I always tell you, I'd like you to have active knowledge and not passive knowledge. Passive knowledge means you can understand what people are saying when they're using these expressions, but active knowledge means you can use it yourself. It can be spontaneous when you're speaking English. Okay, let's listen to the first part of my conversation with Joanne. In this part, she talks about the emotional challenges that people deal with and how we all need to be emotionally strong to deal with rejection, criticism, and personal and professional failure. In the clip you're about to watch, Joanne specifically talks about people who are in the entertainment industry and the struggles they deal with. But of course, we all have those types of struggles. It's part of being human. Let's listen to the first part, and then I will come back and I will teach you the meanings of the expressions, and I will give you sample sentences. Along the same lines, you also said it takes some unique emotional skills to thrive in the brutal emotional landscape of the entertainment industry and investing in your emotional repertoire. Can you tell me how one does that?
I can. I think the most important thing is that you have to know yourself. And that's a catchphrase. But what does it mean to actually know yourself? You have to be, almost as I am standing here right now, extremely grounded in yourself, in your story, knowing why you're doing what you're doing, trusting yourself so that when those brutal attacks start coming, that your writing is terrible, you don't look the part, I can't believe we hired you for this, that you can say, "Oh, okay, I'm sorry that this isn't what you were hoping for. Can we work together and try to change that?" You have to be able to say, "This was a really hard day, but I am rooted, and it doesn't matter how fast the wind blows, it will not knock me down."
Oh, that's beautiful. Wow, everybody needs that.
I think everybody needs that. And I think when things are coming to you at the rate they come to you in entertainment and in Hollywood, and particularly if you're high profile, you really have to be grounded.
How would you define the word grounded?
Grounded, let's think about a tree. We're standing in a park right now, so I'm looking at beautiful trees. I think the deeper your roots are, think of a real tree, the deeper a tree's roots are, the more water they are accessing, the taller and the stronger that tree will grow. So think about depth. This is depth of relationship in your personal life. This is where I think spirituality is critical. I think that, that people who are going to be facing storms need to have a mature spirituality, which is an important part of the conversation I like to have with people. That's absolutely a resource. So they need to have strong relationships, a good spirituality, a good sense of themselves, friends, family, supports, so that they're not doing it alone.
Let's listen to the way I used along the same lines. Along the same lines, you also said it takes some unique emotional skills to thrive in the brutal emotional landscape of the entertainment industry. I said to Joanne, along the same lines you said. When we say along the same lines, that means on the same topic, or similarly, or in the same way. Along the same lines is a wonderful expression that you can use when you're talking to someone. For example, if you ask someone a question and then you would like to ask another question that's on a similar topic, you can start by saying, along the same lines. You can also use along the same lines this way.
That's wonderful. So along the same lines, how can our viewers create more closeness with other people?
So along the same lines, how have you seen your personality change?
I'll give us another example along the same lines.
Do you remember the verb to thrive? Joanne used it in one of my previous videos. Let's listen to how she used it here. Along the same lines, you also said it takes some unique emotional skills to thrive in the brutal emotional landscape of the entertainment industry. Joanne said that it takes some unique emotional skills to thrive in the brutal emotional landscape of the entertainment industry. To thrive means to be happy, to be successful, to grow, to develop well. You can say, he's thriving in his new job. The children are happy and thriving. And here is a beautiful quote by Maya Angelou, who's an American poet. She said, "My mission in life is not merely to survive, but to thrive, and to do so with some passion, some compassion, some humor, and some style." You probably know the meaning of the word landscape. Landscape is scenery or the way the land looks. But Joanne said emotional landscape. Let's listen. Along the same lines, you also said it takes some unique emotional skills to thrive in the brutal emotional landscape of the entertainment industry. When we talk about a landscape, we can also talk about the way a situation is. For example, we can say the political landscape, the social landscape, the emotional landscape. Here are some quotes that I found online that use landscape this way. They came back facing a vastly different political landscape than when they left. People have had to navigate an all-new emotional landscape amid the COVID-19 crisis. Let's listen to the way Joanne used the word catchphrase.
I think the most important thing is that you have to know yourself. And that's a catchphrase, but what does it mean to actually know yourself?
Joanne is saying when people say you have to know yourself, that's a catchphrase. A catchphrase is a short phrase that's very popular that you hear again and again. Everybody says it. It's really common. You hear it everywhere. You have to know yourself. Time is money. These are examples of catchphrases. Sometimes catchphrases are from movies. We hear it in a movie and pretty soon a lot of people are saying it. For example, when Arnold Schwarzenegger said, "I'll be back."
I'll be back. I'll be back. I'll be back.
And when Clint Eastwood said, "Go ahead, make my day."
Go ahead. Make my day.
These are examples of catchphrases. Let's listen to some other people describing catchphrases.
He's looking at you, kid.
It might be the most famous catchphrase in movie history.
Even just saying, "I'm going to Disneyland" has become an advertising catchphrase.
What are you going to do next? I'm going to Disneyland!
Let's end the video with Tony's catchphrase, which is, "You can do it."
You know the meaning of the word ground, the ground that I'm standing on, the earth. But what if we use it as an adjective? What if we say that person is grounded? What does that mean? Let's listen to Joanne. She used it 2 times.
You have to be, almost as I am standing here right now, extremely grounded in yourself. Grounded, let's think about a tree.
Joanne said that you have to be really grounded. And grounded means well-balanced, mentally and emotionally stable, practical, in control of your emotions, making wise decisions, understanding yourself and knowing what's important. These are all examples of someone who is grounded. You can say, "My family keeps me grounded." Despite his huge success at a young age, the singer remains surprisingly grounded. Let's listen to how some other people used grounded.
I think of Jim as very down-to-earth, grounded. He's very authentic. He's very honest.
And I consider myself a grounded person.
The next expression is to look the part. And Joanne said, you don't look the part. Let's listen.
So that when those brutal attacks start coming, that your writing is terrible, you don't look the part, I can't believe we hired you for this.
Joanne said, when people say to you, your writing is terrible, you don't look the part, I can't believe we hired you for this. To look the part is to have an appearance that's appropriate for that specific role in a movie or for that specific situation. To look suitable for an acting role or for a job. You can say, he has a gentle and kind face. He didn't get the role of playing a criminal because he doesn't look the part. And we can also say to dress the part. If you want to work in the law firm, you have to dress the part. Let's listen to how some other people used dress the part.
A lot of the times, dress the part and you will feel so much better.
But you want to dress the part. You want to be at least as well dressed as your audience or slightly higher. That's the rule of thumb.
You know the meaning of the word root. A tree has roots. Joanne said rooted. That's an adjective. Let's listen to how she used it.
This was a really hard day, but I am rooted.
Joanne said, you have to be able to say, this was a hard day, but I am rooted. And rooted means established deeply and firmly. I know who I am. I am rooted like a tree. I'm standing firm. Let's listen to the way Joanne used the phrasal verb to knock down.
And it doesn't matter how fast the wind blows, it will not knock me down.
Joanne said, it doesn't matter how fast the wind blows, it will not knock me down. When something hits something and causes it to fall to the ground, it knocks it down. The wind was so strong, it almost knocked me down. We're renovating our house, and we knocked down a few walls. And Joanne said, when you are rooted, you won't be knocked down easily. Joanne believes that spirituality is critical, and critical means very important.
This is where I think spirituality is critical.
It's critical that you do this. Let's listen to the way some other people used critical.
And that is absolutely critical towards sustainable growth.
So changing energy sources and energy systems is absolutely critical.
And it's a wonderful characteristic and absolutely critical for learning.
You know the word storm, very bad weather. When we talk about the storms in our lives, we use the verb to face storms. Let's listen to Joanne.
I think that, that people who are going to be facing storms need to have a mature spirituality.
Joanne said that she believes that people who are going to be facing storms need to have a mature spirituality. So we can say to face a storm. We use the verb to face when we're talking about all different kinds of difficulties. For example, you can say to face challenges, to face problems, to face obstacles, to face danger, to face an uncertain future. I was faced with a difficult decision. So you see, we use the verb to face when we talk about difficulties. Let's go on to the next expression. The next expression is a sense of oneself. Let's listen to the way Joanne used a good sense of themselves.
So they need to have strong relationships, a good spirituality, a good sense of themselves.
If a person has a good sense of himself or herself, that means they know who they are. They know themselves well. They know their strengths and they know their weaknesses. You can say, she has a good sense of herself. He has a good sense of himself. That person knows who they are. Joanne said that she believes in order to be emotionally strong and emotionally healthy, the people need to have a mature spirituality. In the next part of the video, I asked her to explain that a little bit more. Let's listen and I'll come back. You mentioned spirituality. I love what you said. I believe we are invited by our Creator to let our lives speak as living works of art. I think that's beautiful because God is the Creator, but you believe that when we live our lives out, we can be living works of art. How do we do that?
Thank you. I do believe that. It's interesting. We are once created by God, but we are also co-creators in our own life. And I think that a powerful, rooted person is in constant dialogue between themselves and God. That's how we become deeply rooted. And that's such a critical part, I think, of many of the therapy conversations I have, of bringing that spirituality into who we are.
I think if people know that they're loved by God, they're actually loved by a creator, that helps in really grounding people and helping them face different challenges.
I absolutely believe that too. What is so interesting about that is in the field of psychology, we understand that we tend to experience God the same way we experienced our caregivers when we were growing up. For most of us, that's a parent. For some people, it's not a parent. If you had loving parents, it's easier to experience a loving God. If you did not have loving parents, or you had parents who were neglectful or abusive, you're going to assume that God sees you the same way. So that if you struggle in your life, it's because God's looking the other way, not because I'm human and life is hard.
I see. Wonderful. And can you tell me more about how would you tell someone to go about experiencing their life as living works of art? I like that a lot. Tell me more about that.
You mentioned a minute ago it helps to believe that you're loved by God, but it also helps to believe that you have beauty. And I'm not referring to the kind of physical beauty that actors and actresses are expected to show up with every moment. That you are beautiful because you are diverse, you are unique, and that what you do in the world matters, what you say matters. And I don't mean in a public sense that you should get paid for it or you should get attention for it, but just that you matter. And that life can be beautiful if you engage it thoughtfully and I'll say respectfully.
And how can people get in touch with you?
People can find me at my website, joanneweidmantherapy.com, and the best way to reach me is through email. Or you can certainly call me at the number on the website, and I look forward to hearing from anyone. If I'm not the right therapist for you, I can help you find the right therapist. So please feel free to contact me, even if you're just looking.
That's fantastic. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you, Lisa. This has been so fun.
The expression "at once" has two different meanings. Let's listen to the way Joanne used it.
It's interesting. We are once created by God, but we are also co-creators in our own life.
One meaning of the expression "at once" is immediately. You can say, "You must do that at once." "Please call the doctor at once." But Joanne used it a little differently. She said, "We are at once created by God, but we are also co-creators in our own life." And in this case, "at once" means at the same time, simultaneously. You can say, "I can't be in two places at once." The computer can do many things at once. You need to take turns asking questions. You can't all speak at once. Let's listen to the way Joanne used caregivers.
What is so interesting about that is in the field of psychology, we understand that we tend to experience God the same way we experienced our caregivers when we were growing up.
Joanne said, the same way we experienced our caregivers when we were growing up. Your caregivers are the people who take care of you. And so for children, those are usually parents, sometimes grandparents. A caregiver is also someone who takes care of a sick person or a disabled person. You can say, when he was a child, his grandmother was his primary caregiver. Let's listen to the way Joanne used the expression "to look the other way."
You're going to assume that God sees you the same way. So that if you struggle in your life, it's because God's looking the other way.
Joanne said, when some people struggle in their lives, they might think that God is looking the other way. To look the other way means to ignore what's happening, to not help, to not take action when something bad is happening. You can say, when I asked for help, everybody looked the other way. When the crime was committed, the authorities chose to look the other way. Nobody wanted to help. You know the expression, "what's the matter?" Let's look at the verb "to matter." Let's listen to the way Joanne used it.
That you are beautiful because you are diverse, you are unique, and that what you do in the world matters, what you say matters. And I don't mean in a public sense that you should get paid for it or you should get attention for it, but just that you matter.
Joanne said, what you do in the world matters. What you say matters. You matter. To matter means to be important, to have meaning, to have an effect on what happens. So you can say, you matter to me. Your opinion matters to me. It matters. It's important to me. It has meaning for me. Or you can use it this way. Will it matter if I arrive late? No, it won't matter. I recommend that you continue learning new expressions. Be curious about English. When you hear something that you don't understand, look it up. Try to find out what it means, and then you use it yourself. That's very important. Say it out loud or write it down. That way, you're training your brain to remember it. And I'm going to keep making a lot more videos where I have conversations with native speakers. So make sure you subscribe to my channel and click on the notification bell so that you find out when a new video is released. Thanks for watching and keep practicing your English. To get the 2 courses, the American Accent course and the 400 advanced words you must know for fluent English, go to accurateenglish.com.